At least 20 people in Russia are dead after gunmen attacked several houses of worship Sunday. The coordinated attacks in Russia's southern region of Dagestan targeted a synagogue and churches in 2 cities. Among those killed are 15 police officers and an Orthodox priest. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Russia Dagestan has the story.
An eyewitness captured one of the shootouts. Gunmen opening fire at a police traffic post, turning the streets of the capital Makhachkala into a bloodbath, bursting into a Russian Orthodox church, shooting parishioners and a priest. In coordinated, simultaneous attacks, armed assailants also opened fire on a synagogue 75 miles south in the coastal city of Derbent, then setting the building on fire. The city is home to a small and ancient Jewish community. Investigation officials say at least 15 officers were killed, and the priest of the Orthodox Church, who officials described as brutally murdered. No one has claimed responsibility, but government officials are describing it as a terrorist attack. It comes 3 months after 145 people were killed in an attack claimed by ISIS on a concert hall outside Moscow. Russia's predominantly Muslim Republic of Dagestan has been a hotbed of Islamic extremism for decades. We were there in 2013 after the Boston bombers were believed to have been radicalized there in the weeks before triggering their homemade bombs at the Boston Marathon. Dagestani officials say the anti-terror operation has concluded and a number of attackers are under arrest. So you may recall it was in Dagestan that an anti-Semitic mob stormed an airplane arriving from Tel Aviv last October. So this region has a history of unrest. The governor of Dagestan has announced 3 days of mourning for the victims, and President Putin has expressed his condolences to those who lost loved ones in the attack. Anne-Marie?
Well, I think you've given us perhaps a little bit of insight as to why certain places were targeted. Do we have any information about these locations?
Well, I think you can draw out your own conclusions. You know, the attackers were going after a synagogue and a Russian Orthodox church. With the history of Islamic extremism in that region, the Russian government say they have identified the attackers. They know where they're from without giving any more details. And we have to understand that, you know, Russia has been involved in extremist violence in this region, particularly Dagestan, for 2 decades. And a lot of this has gone unreported because it might be, you know, anti-terror raids or it might be shootouts. This is clearly the largest one that we've seen in years, but this is not unique in terms of what the Russian government has been dealing with in that Dagestan province.
But you would think something like this takes a tremendous amount of planning and obviously some sort of financial support to pull it off. Russian news outlets are reporting that the attackers included 2 sons and a nephew of a Russian politician. What are we learning about that?
Yeah, you know, first of all, we have to pin all of this, as you said, on local Russian media reports. But they've identified a person who does exist. His name is Magomed Amorov, and they say his sons, Osman and Adil, were both killed in these attacks. And yes, he is a local, we say Russian politician because it's governed by Russia, but this is in Dagestan itself. And he has been detained. Again, that goes to local reports. But that's what we're hearing. And we really haven't had much more information that's been given, partly because the FSB doesn't, the Russian security apparatus in Moscow doesn't really share that information until they want to and see that it's useful. They say that the anti-terror operation has been concluded. So we have to take all of these reports with a grain of salt, not just from local Russian media or Dagestani media, but from the Russian government itself.
Right. Right. Charlie, thank you very much.
Thank you.